Hey everybody, it's Dave. Welcome to the Meniere's Experience. How you all doing? I'm doing pretty good for a Saturday. But lately I've been watching some reels on your Facebook that Glenn Schweitzer has been putting out. He's the author of Rewiring Tinnitus, and he's been talking about habituation. And I didn't really understand what this was called, but you know how sometimes our tinnitus is really, really loud? And we always, it's there 365 days a year, all this stuff. And, I'm not saying, I'm not saying it's not. It is. Mine's there. Um, but he's been talking about this, and it's like something I've been doing for a very long time. And I never realized what it was called. It was called habituation. And it's really, I distract myself so much during the day that the tinnitus doesn't seem to bother me as much. Now, when I have downtime, yeah, I can hear it. It can growl, it can groan, it can get really, really loud. Um, but for the most part, because especially, and I've noticed more in the last 3 weeks, where I've been really taking care of my wife after her cancer surgeries, that I'm not really noticing it as much. Um, because I'm doing something for her. I'm running here. I'm taking care of the grandkids. I'm going shopping. I'm doing whatever. So I'm not really noticing it that much. Now, there are other things that can help with tinnitus. One is having like a radio on in the house all day. Um, I generally like will keep the TV on all day, even if I'm home alone. Which was something I really never did until maybe 2021, 2022, because at that point I noticed um, my tinnitus wasn't as bothering me as much. I noticed it after like about 2 weeks. It's like, wow, my tinnitus isn't bothering me that much. It's there, but it's not really killing me. What is it that I'm doing? And it was the sound. It was the distraction. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And even I'm in my office, like I'm in my office right now, I'm making videos or I'm editing videos. I'm concentrating on something else other than what's going on inside my ears. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't work for vertigo. Okay, vertigo hits, you're down and out, and that's it. The dizziness hits, like I was dizzy earlier today. That hits, yeah, you're down and out. But as far as like the tinnitus, it doesn't seem that bad. Even right now, I'm making this video. I can hear some of it in here, but this side I'm not barely notice it. Because I'm not really thinking about it. And I've made videos like that before. Like sometimes we think too much, and when we think too much, we can actually make the tinnitus worse. And even vertigo and all these things, we can actually make it worse because we're too busy concentrating on just that. So what Glenn's talking about habituation, it makes sense. And I really, would tell everybody, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a friend of his or I admin groups with him, but check out Rewiring Tinnitus on Facebook. There is so much good information, and he helps a lot of people. Fortunately for me, I guess I think in that same brainwave that Glenn does, because this is kind of how I deal with it. Distraction, keep myself busy. If I notice myself, sitting around the house too much and tinnitus amps up, um, I'll, but I can't drive. I'll go out on my deck with my camera and just see if there's any wildlife running around, like deer, foxes, bunnies. We got a family of bunnies living under our deck, and I will see them and I will just snap pictures. I'll sit there for a half hour, an hour, and I'll snap pictures. Some pictures I got of like squirrels eating a nut, literally close up, like you're watching me right now. Close up, if a squirrel going, and it's amazing, and that kind of distracts it. So you don't really need to run out in this and that to get distracted. You can find yourself distracted. Um, Lately, the last few days, I actually decided to um, sign up back again for XM radio. And the reason why I did is I can't stand Boston radio. I'm sick and tired of people complaining all day. The Red Sox suck. The Bruins suck. The Celtics don't know what they're doing. The Patriots don't know what they're doing. Or hearing about Mike Vrabel and his affair on Boston radio all day. And the music is, I mean, I put on a music station. It's the same song from 30 years ago. So I went back to XM where they've got an abundance of things you can listen to. And so sometimes on my second computer or on my MacBook, or even now on my tablet, while I'm in here and maybe I'm watching a video or I'm editing a video, I'll have XM radio playing on my computer, so that distracts from the tinnitus sound. So, it's things like that. And the other thing lately is I've been getting into being a clean freak, which I think makes my wife happy. Because now it's like I see something, I clean it because I don't want her to get up and clean it because she's still healing from, the belly and the back surgeries and the armpit. So she's still healing. So I'm like, oh, that's dirty. Pull out the vacuum, put, music in my ear while I'm doing it. But, or I'm cleaning the fridge or I'm doing something. And it tends to lessen it, And just like you guys, I do think about Meniere from time to time. But there also comes a time when I can't think of it. Because, especially over the last 3 weeks, I have another commitment. I need to make sure my wife is okay and healing fine. I can't think about myself. Even though, technically, I'm still healing from my eardrum surgery I had in April. So, that's just the way it is. But if you find a way to distract yourself, you will notice that the tinnitus isn't as bad. You don't notice it as much because your mind is occupied. And that goes for reading a book, too. Read a book. Read a book. Even, go on YouTube. There's a lot of funny videos. I mean, I'm not telling you to watch my videos, which would be nice, but there are all kinds of different videos. Like this time of year, I start getting antsy about football. I'm a huge football fan, and I don't really care what version of it is. Canadian Football League just started. I'll be watching that later tonight. Australian rules football, or AFL they call it, but it's Australian football, which is totally different from American football. And I love that. I watch that. The NFL, of course, but the UFL that just ended their season, or ending the season tomorrow, college football, even high school. I'll go down to local high school and watch football. I'm just a big fanatic. Well, right now we're in a gap where there's no games. So now I'm watching older games from when I was a kid. So that's distracting me a little bit from thinking about my tinnitus. And getting my Jones, getting off that addiction of football, So, yeah, give these things a try. Try to distract yourself, and the tinnitus might not notice it as much. Because tinnitus can be debilitating. I'm not going to deny it. It can be. And sometimes those distractions don't work, but it's worth a try. Because any relief we can get is worth a try. And until they find something that's going to help all of us, it's kind of what you got to do. Yeah, Epsilon's supposed to help with tinnitus, but we don't know when it's coming out. It could come out the end of this year, next year, or 2028. We really don't know. And we don't know how well it's going to work. So, in the meantime, instead of waiting and suffering, try some different things. See how it works. And on that note, have a great weekend. Bye.